Alright, class, now that we have finished our story, Stone Soup by Heather Forrest, we're going to complete some centers. I want you to look up at the board, and here are instructions for our centers. Each center will have more specific instructions, but these are just how we're going to operate and move around the classroom, so please listen. Our first rule is take one paper per student out of the baggie. Our next rule is write your name and date on the paper. It's very important so I know who did what work. Complete the activity with the given materials. Our next rule is use whisper voices and be respectful by listening to each other. And then finally we have clean up your area and place the materials back in the baggie for your next group. These rules will be listed on the board while you guys complete your centers. Alright, for our first center, we're going to go over for our medium level readers. Today we have a fun deleted scene center. And for this center, you as a group are going to create a deleted scene from the book. As a group, you will choose if your deleted scene comes at the beginning, the middle, or the end. And then as a group, you're going to write what you would offer to the soup or what you would say to the villagers. Each person should be a different character. And then I want you to come down here and write who plays what character and what lines they say. Remember, this is completely up to you. This is a deleted scene out of the book. Like it never happened, but it could have happened. Raise your hands if you have any questions. And you will be performing the scene with each other once you complete your little script. For our medium level centers, readers will be required to work together to create a deleted scene from the book. The scene may be before, during, or after the story, but it must make sense. This activity requires higher order thinking skills to create a script that goes along with the storyline in an appropriate way. Then they will perform the scene. The performance is designed to accommodate bodily kinesthetic learners. Outside sources I used for my medium level center are Maricia Imbué, and she states that using learning centers to meet students' varied needs is crucial for teachers to be clear in their expectations about the center's activities. And this is accomplished by providing a rubric for my students to follow to ensure their complete deleted scene is correct. And here is our given rubric for the deleted scene. There is it's a 4-point scale with 4 different categories. Those 4 categories are following direction, script, performance, and neatness. To get a perfect score for following directions, you'd have to follow all the directions without error. To get a 4 for the script, the group script was excellently written for a deleted scene that makes sense and has less than 2 grammar errors. For the performance, to get a 4 point, you have to act out your part with excellence by using expression. And then for neatness, the center has to be clean and all trash has to be thrown away and ready for the next group to get a perfect score. And the center applies to the standards to write narratives in which they recount a well-elaborated event or short sequence of events. Include details, describe actions, thoughts, and feelings. Use temporal words to signal event, order, and provide a sense of closure. This center applies to that standard because the students have to include a scene that makes sense with the whole story. It can't just be random. It has to provide some sort of significance to the story. And then the use of knowledge and language and its conventions when writing, speaking, reading, or listening. The rubric shows us that they have to have correct grammar in a written script. Alright, now that we've finished Stone Soup by Heather Forrest, we're going to complete some center activities. I've posted on the board some general rules for you guys to follow. These rules are: take one paper per student out of the baggie. Write your name and date on the paper. This is very important. Complete the activity with the given materials. Use whispering voices and be respectful by listening to each other. Clean up your area and place materials back in the baggie for the next group. These will be on the board for you guys. Alright. Now we're going to go over our centers for second language learners. For this center, you will be coloring the ingredients on the back. And then you will be going back into the story and finding at least 5 ingredients that were included in our story. And then you're going to cut those out and paste them into your pot to make soup. Again, these are information directly from our story. So don't forget, your ingredients should be what the soup was made out of in the story. And then when you're finished with that, you're going to turn to your buddy and talk about the ingredients in your soup. And why or why not, they may be the same. And maybe if your buddy is confused, you can show them in the book where you found your answers. Again, I printed these front and back to save paper. I would print them separately for a classroom because the students would not be able to cut out their images off of this. But my second language learners will be recreating the soup as it was in the story by coloring, cutting, and pasting the picture cards into the given worksheet. Then they will turn to a partner and discuss if they pasted the same pictures and why or why not. This allows the students to display their understanding of the story without having to read, print, and promotes conversational language. So the kids are able to look back in the story and find the actual pictures and descriptions of the food as it compares to this sheet where each food is also labeled so they are not confused. It also promotes critical thinking skills by giving them an opportunity to discuss how and why they chose the picture cards they did. This is based on the 33rd strategy of the critical thinking community's 35 dimensions of critical thought article, which I referenced in my reflection paper. Alright, class, now that we read Stone Soup by Heather Forrest, we're going to complete some centers. I posted some general instructions on the board for you guys. Please listen up. When you get to your centers, you're going to take out one piece of paper per baggie, per student. You're going to write your name on this paper. You're going to complete the activity with the materials you were given. And you are also going to use whispering voices and be respectful to each other. And don't forget to clean up your area when you are complete. Alright. So, for my low-level learners center, we have a little two-part assignment. It's not too hard, but it requires you to pay attention. For the first part of this activity, you will be identifying at least 8 vegetables that are not used in the story. Again, not used in the story. Once you fill out that section, you will complete a section of fruits and vegetables that were used in the story. And then for this section, I want you to complete it in sequence of events that they appear in the story. So you're going to take your worksheet of vegetables. You can color them if you would like. And then you're going to take your glue and your scissors and cut them out and paste them in the right section of your chart. The top is for stuff that's not used in the story, and the bottom is for the vegetables that are used in the story. But you will be putting those in sequence of events as they show up throughout the story. My low-level learners center is in regards of standards that say use information gained from illustration and words in a print or digital text to demonstrate understanding of its characters, setting, or plot, similar to my second language learners. But for this activity, my students will have to actually sequence the events, which makes it a little bit more complicated than the second language learners, because it's just one more minor step in the process to recalling details and plot. For the rubric I've created, it's similar to the second language learners also. There are 4 categories and 4 points of maximum point scale. So the first section we see, and for all 4 points, is following directions, and to get all the points, you have to follow the directions without error. For accuracy, which is our next column, to get all 4 points, you must place all the pictures in the correct order and in the correct section. For buddy talk, to get all 4 points, you must talk about why or why not your pictures are the same than other students. And neatness, the center must be cleaned up and all trash must be thrown away. This gives students an opportunity to read a small amount of text without becoming overwhelmed. This will build their confidence on reading also. Okay, now that we've read Stone Soup by Heather Forrest, we're gonna complete some centers. I've posted some basic instructions for you. These instructions say take 1 paper per student. Put your name on your paper. Complete the activity with the given materials. Use whisper voices and be respectful of each other. And to clean up your area and prepare it for the next group when you finish. Now I'm going to go over our centers. So for our high-level readers, we have a Reader's Theater. This is where you and your group are going to reread the book. But instead of just reading it page by page, you are each going to pick a character to act out. It can be a villager or a traveler. Some students may have more than one character, but that's okay, because each character only says a few lines. If you are a traveler, you should only be the traveler because they speak the most. If you are a villager, you might want to have 2 characters. That's up to you and your group. And then you're going to go through the book as a group and write your lines, your character's lines. You're going to write what character that is and what lines they are saying. This is called dialogue. So here we have dialogue. And then as a group, you're going to act out the play with lots of expression and emotion. And then when you're finished, you're going to talk about why reading with expression keeps the story interesting and makes it more fun. So, yes. The standards I've addressed with this rubric are to tell a story or recount an experience with appropriate facts and relevant descriptive details, speaking audibly in coherent sentences. This is important to Reader's Theater because if they didn't act out the book itself, it'd be a whole different story, and it would not be Reader's Theater. And the purpose of acting out the book is to see the book in a different light and understand why including emotion and details about emotion in your writing is very important to keeping a writer interested. The high-level readers will participate in a reader's theater to display their fluent reading skills. They must use higher-order thinking skills when paying attention to prosody when they read. This activity is carried out in a cooperative format with peers so students do not feel isolated and alone as they read. That is from the Southwest Central Service Cooperative I referenced in my paper. And now if we look at our rubric, there is a few more categories than the previous ones. This one has 6 sections, all worth 4 points. So our sections are expression, phasing, loudness, pacing, smoothness, and group effort. To get 4 points in expression, your expression has to match the interpretation of your character. Effective phrasing means they successfully split up the dialogue where it made sense and wasn't choppy. Loudness, the volume matches the correct interpretation of the character. Pacing, the pacing went at a conversational pace, not too fast or too slow. The rhythm, smoothness within rhythm, like the students spoke fluidly and took their time to go over their dialogue rather than just writing it all down and reading it as they go. And then group effort, the group discussed the importance of expression with excellence. This is important so they understand how writing with expression can contribute to their overall pieces of writing.